Mooers, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. With the upcoming start of the 2017 General Assembly session, Montgomery County is beginning to decide, or actually has begun to put together its advocacy program for the upcoming session in Annapolis. Melanie Wenger from the county government is here. She's going to carry the county's message to the legislators. She's going to tell us what the main issues for our county are. The Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce has prepared its own list of issues that it believes will most help the county and its businesses. Ilaya Hopkins from the Chamber is here to explain. The Committee for Montgomery, composed of numerous county organizations and their advocates, also focuses on the Annapolis session each year. Jonathan Sachs, chairman of the Committee for Montgomery, has the story of what CFM will advocate this year. Finally, for a change of pace away from all this politics and Annapolis stuff, Henry Hailstock is here to give his impressions about the importance of the person you marry to your overall health. Not sure whether he's going to say it's bad or it's good. We'll have to wait for the fourth session on that one. Melanie, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
You're just not here enough.
Well, invite me more often.
Well, and you're on your way to Cambridge to tell the people in Dorchester County how Montgomery County is their kind of place, right?
Actually, to make friends with others.
Well, isn't that what Montgomery County is all about? And isn't that
Yes.
really what you're going to be doing over the next 3 months in Annapolis?
I hope so. At least that's one of our objectives. But we have a long list of things that we're interested in, and we know that we will have friends on a number of them. K through 12 education, there's a couple of commissions meeting right now that are really important to kind of the future of public school construction.
Okay.
And K through 12, transportation, no surprise to anybody. We have a long list of things we're interested in.
And our
WMATA.
transportation issues are a little bit different than a lot of other places. We've got both the...
Yeah, they are. We are in the Washington region very transit focused. We have issues with WMATA, parity in transit funding, big long capitalists, the purple line.
Right.
Economic development, which all this ties in. Obviously, we have a big incentive package pending for Marriott, which
Sure.
we're going to need to make sure it is shepherded through the legislature.
Okay.
And this year, since our list is very long, we've included a number of things in the health and human services area that are important, public safety, and then we also have a long list of capital projects we're interested in, of which one is very special. It's called the Poolsville Economic Development Project.
The Poolsville Economic... Okay, well, let's go through it. Let's tell us a little bit maybe about the K through 12 and why, what are our issues here in Montgomery County, and how are they maybe a little bit distinct from others in the
They are
state?
distinct. We have the largest school system in the state by far, and because of the way the state pays for K through 12 education, it is wealth equalized. So because Montgomery County Test is a relatively wealthy subdivision, we don't get a lot from the state, so we largely pay our own way on that front.
Okay.
So we're always very concerned when there's a new commission meets or something like that that prepares to make recommendations that our interests are protected. So that's what's going on, and it's not really going to entirely set up this year, but the groundwork is already being laid. And the same thing is happening in the public school construction front. I mean, I've been on the show before, we've talked
Right.
about the needs in this area. So we're, very carefully watching what's going on and weighing in as we see fit. But more than anything, this year is a groundwork year in anticipation for next year where the real action will occur.
And
This is one of the reasons that our county chamber, which is an independent nonprofit organization, follows what the county government is doing very closely, because quality schools are a key economic driver for our businesses, their employees, and continuing to make Montgomery County an attractive place. So the fact that the Montgomery County government continues to put resources and efforts into working with our state leaders is really important for the benefit of all of us.
now, do we still have a crisis or issues with maintenance of effort that we heard about in years past? Is that still something that we have to be concerned with?
Well, I think we all have kind of different ways to view that issue. And again, I think that will be part of this discussion, exactly what level of effort local subdivisions, particularly Montgomery County, will be expected if there are significant changes to the formula. So some things go on forever.
Well, let's go to the transportation, especially the purple line is something that's been of, is it on, is it off, is it too expensive? What's going here? What is the state of the purple line?
It's an odd turn of events that I think no one anticipated. Whereby we were just inches from, consummating a full funding grant agreement when a court case was taken up and actually not decided by the judge, but in the process of what he did, he vacated the record of decision and left kind of the future of the Purple Line funding in limbo, because without this being resolved, the full funding grant agreement can't be signed. So we're in limbo with the project that we're right there on, just right there.
Yeah, I don't understand the environmental study that he brought up as an issue. I thought that was already done, but why did he bring it back as the main reason to delay it and requesting this additional environmental study?
I'm not an attorney, so I really live at the 20,000 foot level on this particular issue. I think that some of those things can be answered by attorneys, but at the 20,000 foot level, what I know is as a result of our inability to even appeal the case, that we are dependent on him to move off the dime and make decisions so that we know where we stand, so that we could go to the federal government and sign this agreement.
We've got a minute to go, so we're going to real quick with a fire away.
Well, it's not just limbo, because the contract had been signed with the concessionaire, and the state of Maryland is actually on the hook to pay money as we wait for this decision
Right,
to
and
be
that
made.
is 12 to 14 million a month, and that began supposedly by the agreement on November 1st.
Wow.
So we need this judge to decide
Yeah.
and move this
Is
forward.
the judge a member of Columbia Country Club?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not going to go there. 30 seconds left. Give us some. What you mentioned that it's sort of laying the groundwork here. The 2018 session is going to be where a lot of fireworks happen. And all
We
that stuff.
think so.
Optimistic that we're going to be successful.
We have the state's largest delegation. Nothing's more important than K through 12 education in the county of Montgomery. So I'm trusting our legislators are going to protect our interests very strongly in the K through 12 front.
And as we do each year, we trust in you.
We do.
Carry forward. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Julie, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm
Now,
delighted
you
to
talked
be
a
here.
little bit about the importance of education with our businesses and making Montgomery County an attractive place to work and build businesses here. A little bit, follow on Melanie's work. What in particular is the chamber most interested in that's not education related?
Right. Well, we are delighted to have partners like the county government. We're all moving forward to try to make Montgomery County a competitive and exciting and vibrant economy so that our businesses can be successful and more people can come to Montgomery County and take advantage of our wonderful quality of life. Our chamber advocates for our members' success, and we do that in three important ways. Around strategic investment in infrastructure, and education is part of that. Around economic competitiveness, so that would include looking at our tax code structure and trying to be balanced in how we tax our businesses. And then also on proactive ideas to shape the marketplace. So again, to give our businesses the competitive advantage, we want to make sure that the environment and the economic ecosystem is calibrated in such a way that they can take advantage of it and compete really at the global level.
So let me ask you this, follow-up. We have a president coming in who's talking a lot about regulatory reform and also corporate tax reform, and a Congress that seems to be right with him on that. Do we see any of that? Are we going to see at the state level going along with that a little bit with a Republican governor, or do you anticipate some issues where if the feds are going to pull back on some of the regulations that the General Assembly has no choice but to increase some of those regulations in terms of protecting Marylanders? What's crystal ball?
Yeah,
what
boy,
do you
if I could
anticipate?
answer those questions.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot.
No,
I mean,
no.
it's
Uncharted
working.
territory.
It is, but we actually, our chamber is rather unique in that we advocate at the federal, state, and local level. And that partly is because we have a number of businesses in Montgomery County who sell to the federal government. In fact, in Montgomery County, we have the second highest number of small businesses that are federal government contractors. So we want to make sure that those contracts are still open to them, available to them, that the tax structures at all levels are as coordinated as possible. But really, a lot of our work continues to be at the local and state level because those are the policies that seem to be having the most activity.
Right.
And it's hard to know what will happen in the upcoming Congress.
I was going to ask, because the DMV is so close to the heart of the government and everything, are we more scrutinized both ways in dealing with issues, small business, economic development, transportation, and so on? The funding and the dollars?
I think we've had some very competitive projects that have gone forward. The Purple Line is one, the Corridor Cities Transitway, where one of our initiatives is I-270. We know, everyone knows how badly congested. It's the worst congested roadway in Maryland, actually. And because it serves such an important national security priority coming across the American Legion Bridge, we like to talk about it in those terms so that we can get the attention of federal appropriators. It will be interesting at the national level. We will miss Senator Mikulski, but we're delighted that our champion of Congressional District 8, Chris Van Hollen, will now be our new junior senator in Maryland. And based on what he's done in the past for federal contractors and his constituents, we feel really excited about what's ahead.
Ilaya, as you advocate, what do you say are the elements of a competitive economic ecosystem in Montgomery County, knowing that the federal government is there, we have the state government present, and of course like a very robust local government? What are those elements?
Really, a key to economic development is talent and being able to attract talent. And for us, it's competing not just against other jurisdictions in Maryland or in the DMV, but places like Austin, Texas, and Silicon Valley and Cambridge. How do you get young people, bright minds, the next generation of top talent in the knowledge economy to choose to come to Montgomery County? Or if they're from Montgomery County, to come back after they've been college educated or stick around after University of Maryland. So finding ways to make it an attractive place to be. Housing affordability is key. The transportation challenges play into this, and then having employers who have that critical mass, so there's a lot of opportunity for career growth.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Optimistic, pessimistic, following on Melanie, any predictions?
Always optimistic. We live in an incredible place with unique strategic assets. We've got great legislators who are committed to making this a county that works for everyone. And this chamber is really invested in the success of our businesses, their employees, and really all the residents of Montgomery County and Metro Maryland.
In one sentence, what can the rest of Maryland learn from Montgomery County and our economic or other success?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think we can all learn a lot from one another, but one of the things that Montgomery County offers, we are now a majority-minority community of incredible diversity, and that plays into the business community too. So that's something to watch and be very excited about.
You know what also is very excited, or to watch and be very excited about? The second half of this show. We'll be right back. We're back. Jonathan, I believe this is your first time on the show.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Committee for Montgomery chairman or chairperson of the Committee for Montgomery. What a responsible position, because as I understand Committee for Montgomery, you've got for-profit businesses, you've got nonprofit, you've got government, you've got the community organizations. You're trying to herd cats or whatever in terms of keeping everybody on the same path? Or is it not as difficult because we live in Montgomery County?
Well, it's wonderful having everybody around the table. In fact, a couple of people at this table are also around that table. So pleased to have Henry on our board, as well as Ilaya, and Melanie's a good friend of the board as well. It's great to have the discussion. Now we're living in a world where everybody talks about the bubble they're in. In Montgomery County, we're all kind of together, and it's really nice. There's not a bubble of we're the labor community, we're the for-profit community, we're the nonprofit community. Instead, we all have a table, we all have a forum where we can come together and share ideas and talk through issues and disagree. We agree on a lot. We actually, in order for us to take a stance on a bill, 85% of our board needs to agree. It's a very high threshold, but it's just wonderful to have everybody in the same room talking these things out.
As you've listened to Melanie and Ilaya here, and you're going forward, and that was what the Committee for Montgomery was created to do, is to bring a unified approach to Annapolis so that we can have our issues hopefully taken care of. You work in concert with both of them. What do you bring, or what does CFM bring, Committee for Montgomery, in its particular perspective that's a little bit different, or what are you going to be honing in on that might be a little bit of CFM as opposed to the chamber or the county government?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, the Committee for Montgomery is committed to education, transportation, economic development, just like Melanie and Ilaya talked about. Where I think we're looking to contribute, and this pivots off our December 15th breakfast where we had the mayor.
December 15th, what's the December 15th
The
breakfast?
December 15th, I'm really happy you asked. This is the unofficial kickoff of the legislative session in Montgomery County. It's the Committee for Montgomery breakfast. Our guests this year, we're very excited. The county executive, Ike Leggett, will be there and will be host to the mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh, the brand new mayor of Baltimore. So very excited to have the jurisdictions come together because in Annapolis, typically they're seen as fighting over resources. And to answer your question, one of the things Committee for Montgomery brings to the table this year is to ask the question, how do we better collaborate with other local jurisdictions? The era of infinite resources is gone. Where governments had plenty of money to do all kinds of different projects.
Was there ever a period of infinite
Well, I've been told,
resources?
it probably predates me, but I've been
I think
told
it might
that there
predate
was.
me too. It's like,
I think it predates America. There was never
Exactly.
but it's all in the past. It's all
Exactly. I
But
mean,
that's the stigma. That's the stigma that Montgomery County has had for a number of years,
paper
and
gold.
that's the big battle
Right.
that we've had with Baltimore
Sure.
and some of the other jurisdictions. And that's the battle I had when I was a chair
Sure.
committee, talking to one of the heads of the Senate.
But we're coming in and we're going to go talking. We got Baltimore working together with Baltimore. Last
Yes.
Committee for Montgomery breakfast was with Prince George's County and with the DC mayor.
Correct.
Both former students of the county executive. Is the mayor of Baltimore also a former?
I don't believe so. Melanie, you'd probably know, but I know he's touched a lot of different lives of the elected officials around the state. So,
I have to say one of the things about Committee for Montgomery, not only are they trying to bridge the gaps at that macro level, but within the Committee for Montgomery, one of the things that I value most is we get to go beyond the headlines and really understand what the issues are that each of these different stakeholders is concerned with. So I think that the breakfast is going to be a terrific discussion about commonalities in Montgomery County and Baltimore City, ways to work together to move forward, because really our success in Montgomery County relies very much on the success of Baltimore City.
absolutely, I think we need to be creative about solving our problems as a state. That's sort of what I was getting at. Is our resources are limited. The recovery has been very slow, continues to be slow, and we have to collaborate with other jurisdictions to address issues where both of us, all of us, are in the same boat. We've heard a lot of talk about regionalism, but we share, a state budget with Maryland. We don't share it with the jurisdictions in Virginia. So focusing on our friends within the confines of the state of Maryland, I think is mutually beneficial to all of us.
and I think this breakfast is
Just
going
have
to
30
be
seconds.
fascinating because I think the new mayor's got a lot of ideas, a lot of energy, and she seems to be very willing to reach outside of the box.
Absolutely, absolutely.
When all is said and done, your period as chair, you'll say, I've been successful if.
We're doing a strategic plan right now, and if we have a pathway forward for the next 5 years to make Committee for Montgomery a very strong force on behalf of Montgomery County and its citizens.
You'll have that. I
Yes.
have very great confidence, Jonathan, that will be the case.
Thank you.
Now, you talk about a 5-year plan. We're talking about a 50-year plan here, aren't we, Henry?
And beyond.
And beyond.
All right.
Talking about our spouses and what they mean to our happiness
And health.
Henry
Exactly.
Hailstock, welcome back.
It's nice to be back.
You always come up. You're all here for the most interesting. Not to say that you guys, it
Yeah.
wasn't interesting.
Right. This will be interesting.
But so tell me, because I'm fascinated. When I heard about this, I quickly shot off a text to my spouse saying, I'm going to find out why you're good for me, babe. So tell me what.
If you have to ask.
No,
You have to ask.
Ooh. No. Well, remember your vows in sickness and in health.
Sure.
And that's so true.
That's a long way away when you make those vows. You're in your
Yeah.
20s, 30s, whatever, oftentimes. I mean, you're not
Depends.
getting sick.
That depends, it really. But I was astonished about reading some of these studies that the University of Maryland, University of Michigan, and the University of Edinburgh, and University of Missouri put out about marriage and health. Period. And you say that when you get married, your health changed for the better, and that's true. But I found out going further that it affects men less in some cases and more in other cases than women, and I found that astonishing. So I started reading, And it was saying, for instance, that men take to heart a lot of the nagging on the health and the diets. And
Nagging's not a good word.
Encouragement.
Encouragement, yes.
well, the study said nagging, so I'm using that. I use nagging
As long
as
as
a
there's
term.
nagging, as long as
Yeah.
men nag the women and the women nag the men. It's a mutual
Equal
nag.
opportunity.
Not really, not really. Men
I'm trying
take
to help
nagging.
you here, Henry.
Men take nagging seriously
Right.
for the health and all, and they do something about it. Women take nagging as nagging, and really take it as a detriment, and really affects them, negatively. And I didn't know that. And
Oh,
To
I
think
could-
about
I
that.
could tell you,
Yeah,
tell you
really.
that, Henry. If you'd asked me, I would have told you.
you really,
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't trust
So
you.
how fat was this book? You know? He would have told you right off the bat.
So it's been back to politics for just a second. There were a lot of stories about couples in this last cycle who had differences of opinions on
Right,
candidates,
exactly.
on issues, and things like
Exactly.
that. Did this study happen to go into any of that? Is
Only
disagreement healthy? or-
only for the standpoint of communicating, and for sake of, let's say, arguments and all. If you sort of held it in, you heard the pain in the neck and all that. It's true. You will get a pain in the neck, pain in the stomach, heart attack, or whatever. You hold it in. But if you let it out too much, it's a reverse thing. You will get sickness and all. I found out through the study that married couples who are, harmonious in their relationship have less tendencies to have diabetes, and can conquer cancer. I didn't believe that, but that's absolutely true. Survive. Even
Yeah.
though they get it, they survive it,
Yeah.
as opposed to being alone. And I don't want to scare someone who's just about to get married.
John, hey, you're getting married to me. When's the big day again, John?
Yeah, so we don't have a date yet, so we're working through that. We're just enjoying being engaged right
But you're
now.
getting some advice here from all of us.
Yeah,
and
this has been very
either to
informative.
either move the date up or
But-
move it back. Either way.
But be honest with you, the longer you're married, the more in sync you are as far as health is concerned. And I didn't realize it that a couple, they looked at couples over 40 years of marriage were more in sync health-wise than someone that was not. And reading further, they said they actually tested the blood marks, the marks in the blood, and they were in sync. Unbelievable.
Well, they're
So
breathing
I'm
the
going
same
to
air, they're
test.
eating the same food.
My wife and I are 44 years in marriage, so I'm going to have blood tests to have check out, see how in sync we are in that. But that's amazing. It really is amazing, and it really depends. Now, I'm a exercise nut, as you know,
Yeah.
and because I talk about that on
Yes,
some
you
of the issues. For someone that, say, the husband exercises a lot, the wife has a tendency to try to do it if it is, a happy thing
Just about
to
a
do.
minute left.
It's interesting because we often say at the chamber in the business-to-business context that it's a human environment, and so those relationships really do matter. And despite the fact that we've got technology and efficiencies and all that, it really comes down to the connections that you can make with people, whether
really
it's about
does.
business or advocacy or
Right.
your personal relationships.
But one other thing I found out about this health thing is that diet. You have a dieter that's in the family, in the relationship. It works in a reverse, because the other person, tends to fall off, and really goes the opposite way. It was amazing to find out some
Lesson,
of these things.
the holidays are coming. Don't worry about a diet.
Don't worry about it.
That's right.
That's true. That's true.
I was going to say, I don't know about the honeymoon phase, but I know that my happiness quotient has gone way up since Cheryl said yes. So.
All right. Well, listen, that's the last word. And Cheryl, if you're watching us,
Cheryl, that's right.
good man here, John. Thank you guys for joining us today. And thank all of you for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Mooers, and I invite you to join us next week at this very same time.